I couldn't let it go for that. We're too far apart.
And we already, hold on to it for a while. Everything that's old gets new again.
Not every deal ends with a handshake and a smile. Sometimes things get heated fast, and when tempers flare, all bets are off. These customers came in hoping to score big, but when things didn't go their way, they completely lost control. From angry outbursts to dramatic walkouts, these are the wildest moments when customers totally lost it on Pawn Stars. Starting off, we meet a guy who walks into the shop with some serious confidence. He says he's got a custom motorcycle to sell, and just so you know, Corey is a total bike freak. If there's anything that gets his heart racing, it's a rare motorcycle, and he doesn't even try to hide it.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, good. How you doing? I've got a custom motorcycle. I want you to take a look at.
I got a back lot over there. You want to bring it around?
Yeah, sure.
That's not just a motorcycle, that's a beast on wheels. This thing looks like it came straight out of a WWE stunt match. You can tell by the look on Corey's face he's already in love. But before he can let his emotions take over, he wants to know the backstory. And guess what? This isn't just any bike. It was built for legendary actor James Caan. Back in the day, James Caan was Hollywood royalty. So yeah, if this bike is the real deal, it could be worth a ton of money.
And of course, we got the big ass back tire.
This is his signature style.
Eddie Trotta's a huge name in bike building, and he's got a real distinctive style.
This guy did not come to play. He's got documents, receipts, and everything to prove this bike is legit. And the look on Corey's face? Priceless. He's impressed. The guy wants $22,000 for the bike, even though he paid a whopping $45,000 back in 2009. Honestly, that sounds like a fair deal.
The late 90s, 2000s, there was all these motorcycle shows on TV about guys building bikes.
But then comes the reality check. Corey loves the bike. He loves that it belonged to a famous actor. But there's a big issue. It's outdated. Not many people ride these kinds of bikes anymore. So unless Corey finds someone just as obsessed with vintage bikes, selling it later could be a nightmare. He decides it's time to call in his expert buddy, the one who really knows his way around custom builds.
Built by Eddie Trotta, at one point owned by James Caan.
Looking good. Eddie Trotta's an artist. By looking at certain bikes, you can kind of guess who built the bike because of their style and their feel, the rake of the neck.
Wow! Even Corey's friend is intrigued by the sight of the bike. He says that the man who built the bike is a very popular motorcycle builder. Aside from that, he is one of the best in the game. But is that good enough to sell the bike for $22,000?
Are they selling again? Tell me about it.
Okay, yeah. The large, wide bikes are really out of style.
Ouch. That's definitely sending a bullet to the heart of the guy who brought the bike in. Looks like this bike is pretty much out of date. But then the fact that it was built by a popular motorcycle builder should be worth something. Well, if we're being honest, $10,000 is not bad if we're honest. The bike is pretty out of it, and not a lot of people would want to buy it right now. Let's see if the dude is going to agree with all that's been said.
You told me you wanted $22,000 for the bike. I mean, the only way I could think of selling this bike is pulling the motor, pulling the trans and the drivetrain out.
Honestly, we understand that the bike is out of date, but even I won't sell that bike for $5,000. Oh well, no deal was made, and this dude is going back home with his bike. Well, let's see what the next item is, shall we?
Since we weren't able to make a deal, I'll keep the bike for now, enjoy it, and I'm sure I'll find a buyer that loves the bike just.
This dude walked into the shop hoping to sell a book. Now this was no ordinary book, trust me. He claimed it was an annual registry for 1776. He even says that the Declaration of Independence is printed in it. Imagine that. I have a feeling Rick is going to like it.
Sell a book. What kind of book is it?
It's an annual registry of 1776. The Declaration of Independence is printed in it.
Haha, I told you the book was going to catch Rick's attention. Looks like the book is no joke. I wonder how this dude got his hands on something like that. I'm sure it's not something you just see at any museum. For his sake, let's hope the book is legit and Rick is actually interested in getting the item. He wants to take his lady out and ask her to marry him. That has to be the cutest thing ever. First, let's hear about the history of the book.
Okay, when this came out, this was all news from the year previous. But the compiling of information was not really great back then. And this was basically the 1777 version of Wikipedia.
I don't think you need me to tell you that Rick is probably going to buy that book. He just gave the backstory and importance of the book, and it seems like something people might actually want. But let's not jump to conclusions just yet. But Rick is just too hilarious. I can't believe he asked the guy who brought in the book for his age because he had no idea what the Articles of Confederation were. Hilarious. It seems like it's a thing for old people. Well, Rick is about to take this dude to school.
The Articles of the Confederation, the first Constitution of the United States.
Oh, okay.
All right, what do you want to do with it?
I was looking to sell it.
How much were you looking to get out of it?
Well, $2,000 actually sounds like a pretty fair price if you ask me. I honestly don't think he could get anything higher than $2,000, but Rick is the one in charge. Is he going to agree with the price? If you notice, Rick is not hiding the fact that the book is actually one of a kind, given the fact that the book is printed from a British point of view. If the book happens to be legit, this man might actually walk away with $2,000. Let's see what the expert has to say about the book.
This is definitely a rebind and definitely a recent rebind, but it will affect the value of the book, just so.
Ouch, that's the first blow. Rick's expert comes into the shop, and the first thing she says is that the fact that the book had a recent rebrand would definitely affect the price of the book. That's bad news for the guy who brought in the book. The book still has some pretty interesting features, regardless of the fact that it had a rebrand. Who knows, maybe those features would make the book worth some good money. Or could I be wrong?
Description of the battles, but you have the Declaration of Independence, you have the Articles of Confederation. It's kind of like banger year. This one you have issues. I mean, there's a tape repair here, and I really mean literally tape, which...
Oh wow, that's surprising. The expert said that regardless of all the other features it possesses, the body of the book is just not top-notch. But the shocking thing is that the book is worth about $3,000, and that brings a smile to the dude's face.
Well, let's start at the $2,000, and I will not be bartered with. You can make some money off of that still.
I know, but would you ever pull $3,000 out of your pocket for a book?
Well, that's not bad. He is just short a few $100, and if you ask me, that's a pretty okay price. It looks like he is still going to be able to take his lady out and get her to marry him. I just find the whole thing hilarious. Well, the book is sold. There's no going back, Rick. The next item on the list happens to be a wombat coat. The lady who brought it in says that it was made in the early 1900s. Something that old should be worth a lot of money.
Some research on wombats. They got really coarse hair that keeps the weather out. I want to sell it because, in polite terms, I think it's really, really ugly.
Did he just say you take a kangaroo and beat it with a stick? That has to be the weirdest description I have ever heard. One thing I know is that Rick and Corey are definitely fascinated by the item the lady brought into the shop. That explains why Corey asked if the coat won't have flies and fleas on it. Phew, at least the lady is honest about why she wants to sell it. But then again, if that's how she feels about it, would Rick really want to buy it?
I do, and here's why. This is the manufacturer, and they're in Milwaukee. I did my research, and they only specialized in wombat fur.
I can't be the only one who saw Corey's face when she said that her husband's father used to wear it to tend to his cows in 30 to 40 degrees below zero. If I were in her shoes, I'd probably want to see the coat too. These are honestly very hilarious. Let's just say that nobody wants the coat. The lady wants to get rid of it, and Rick says it looks very rustic. I wonder how much this lady would want to sell the coat, given the fact that nobody likes it.
I mean, if there was some historical significance tied to it, if this was Teddy Roosevelt's wombat jacket, I'd want it in a minute.
Well, I guess we have our answer. Rick tells the lady that he doesn't take furs because nobody wears them anymore. I mean, everyone literally has a jacket for when it gets cold. It looks like the lady is not cashing in on any money today. I hope she finds someone who is interested in her coat, because Rick sure isn't that someone. Before the next item popped up in the shop, Rick wanted to teach Corey a lesson. Apparently Chum has been too lazy, and Rick is just tired of it.
We gotta go make a little trip real quick.
Dude, I really want some tacos for lunch, man. Where you take chicken and some cheese or something would be good.
Oh, Chum is in some serious trouble. It's pretty much known that Chum is the laziest person at the shop, and Rick wants to fix that. I wonder what Rick has planned for Chum. I'm sure it's something he is not going to like. Hold on. Is it just me, or does he look so confused? I guess we now know what Rick has in store for Chum. Working here for 1 week is definitely going to do a number on Chum. The goal is for him to stop being lazy. Let's hope that works, because if you ask me, I doubt it will.
This opportunity, I can be here and help you guys out, and maybe I can increase the sale, you know?
What in the hell did he say?
And increase the sale, you know?
Man, I'm sure it's only a matter of time before these guys start to miss Chum. Oh well, the next item that found its way into the shop was Nevada State Prison gambling tokens. Ever heard of that before? I very much doubt that.
Have any old Nevada prison tokens for sale? How would you like to buy some old Nevada prison tokens? They're very hard to find.
Ha 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 ha. Good one, Corey. The guy who brought the tokens into the shop says that they are very rare items and you don't just find them anywhere. Well, no one in Corey's family is trying to go to jail. It's not surprising that Corey isn't sure he even wants to buy it. This guy's hopes are pretty high. But if you ask me, I very much doubt that Corey is going to want to buy those tokens. But let's hear a little more about these tokens. Who knows? He might be lucky.
Which had to go to prison between the 1930s and 60s to be able to have access to them.
Right.
The last thing they wanted you to have in there was cash.
Well, the tokens definitely have a funny but interesting history. That explains why this dude is hoping to cash in on a lot of money from its sale. But what does Corey really think? I love me a customer who knows how to strike a bargain. The guy says that he wants to sell them for $850, and Corey sticks to $450.
The casino at the Nevada State Prison is just legendary. Where else in the world would a bunch of criminals get to run a legitimate gaming place?
Who is going to win the battle of the bargain? I guess they both won. They settled for $500. And to be fair, it's a pretty sweet deal on both ends. Sucks that this guy's dreams of walking out with a huge sum of money went down the drain. Well, every day is not Christmas. That's a pretty good way to spend $500.
How about 6.5? I mean, in your shop, being in Nevada, you would have a perfect place because no one else is going to have these.
500 is the best I could do, buddy.
All right.
Moving on, this dude walks into the store and says he has an item for sale. The item was a Marilyn Monroe signed picture and handwritten poem. Believe me, even Corey could not wait to get his hands on the piece. It was almost like the item was something he had been waiting to see for a long time.
For sale today, I've got a Marilyn Monroe signed picture and a handwritten poem.
Wow.
As well as the obituary of the man that she wrote it to.
Honestly, the item sounds and looks like a very rare piece. There aren't a lot of Marilyn Monroe handwritten poems out there, and if this happens to be legit, that would be very incredible. I wonder where he found something like this. Well, you heard Corey. This piece is going to be one of a kind if it actually happens to be a legit item. I'm pretty sure the guy who brought in the item for sale has no idea how valuable it is. But first, it has to be original.
You see me on the silver screen, also on Life magazine. My master has been many men. You've seen us both time and again. On the ground or in the sky.
Haha, that was hilarious coming from Corey. Clearly, Marilyn Monroe was a better actor than a poet, but we still can't deny the fact that she was an extraordinary human being back in her prime. But come on, $48,000 is actually a lot of money. It looks like this guy actually has an idea of what the piece could sell for. He said he had 4 different experts check out the item 10 years ago. Well, Corey still has to check out the item regardless of what the man just said.
That's a shame. Without it, I don't have a lot to go on. Tell you what, mind if I have a buddy of mine come take a look at it? He works for PSA. They're one of the most reputable people there is out there.
Aha! I knew Corey was not going to just go with what the gentleman said. What's funny is the fact that he claims to have had the item checked out by 4 different experts, and yet he can't provide any paperwork to back up his claim. Sounds funny to me. Corey's expert seems to be surprised that this man randomly has this rare piece in his possession. He says that finding Marilyn Monroe's pieces is pretty rare, and it's going to be insane if this piece is legit, but first, he wants to properly check the item.
And then to go along with their handwritten poem, it's almost too good to be true.
Of course. I'm going to pull out some exemplars. The first thing you have to remember with her autograph, kind of always rush.
Wow. That explains why the guy who brought in the piece said it's worth over $48,000. It looks like he actually did his research. Oh well, let's see if the expert feels this particular piece is going to be worth that amount. The expert definitely broke his heart. His dreams of cashing out $48,000 are now down the drain. Apparently, the piece was signed by Marilyn Monroe's secretary and not Marilyn Monroe herself. Is he just going to walk home with empty pockets?
And I brought a sample of her handwriting here today. This is signed earlier in the 50s, and you could see her pressure is very similar throughout.
Men, it's like the odds are just against this guy. Standing there, you can feel his disappointment. He might be walking home with empty pockets after all. I guess that settles that. At least he took his loss like a man. The next item that found its way into the shop was a suitcase-mounted rocket. Trust me, even I couldn't figure out what it looked like when it walked into the shop, but Corey and his dad were intrigued to see it.
Yeah, I've got about all the crappy suitcases I need.
Well, this isn't just any case. This is a hybrid rocket mounted in a case.
I can't be the only one who has no idea what a hybrid rocket is. Well, if there's anything we know, it's that the guy who brought the item into the shop has Corey and his dad's attention. But okay, that definitely sounds like a big deal. Rick says that the item is an engine prototype for Richard Branden's Galactic. It might not look like anything, but that item is an important build for engines that will one day take people to space. Wow.
Well, how much thrust does the thing put out?
You get about 5 pounds.
Okay, this thing weighs more than that, so we're gonna have rocket thrust, but this thing isn't going.
We've balanced it right so that it won't go off into your neighbor's house or something.
Aha! Aha! That explains how Rick knows all about the item. It's always a surprise how he knows these things with just the first glance. Oh well, knowing Rick, if he talks about an item a lot, he definitely wants it in his shop. That's probably a really smart choice. Nobody wants the shop up in flames. Well, they are about to test the rocket to see if it actually works. The guy who brought it says it works, and Rick wants to be 100% certain.
And then when it burns in there, you turn on the nitrous oxide.
Yeah.
That's really high-tech lighting system for a rocket. Nice.
I'm not gonna lie, that's actually very incredible. The rocket actually works. What's surprising is the fact that it's so small yet it produces so much energy. You can see Rick is pretty excited about the outcome of the test. Oh, and did Rick just say $100? Wow! When it comes to the bargaining game, no one beats Rick. He says he was expecting something a little out of the ordinary, but this rocket just didn't cut it. Let's see if the guy's going to strike a harder bargain.
Hey, you never know when a rocket scientist is going to walk in.
But a rocket scientist is the kind of guy who would build this himself. You're stuck at $3,000?
I could go 25, that's about all.
Wow, Rich actually saw a really cool item, and he said no. I'm surprised. Well, it didn't meet his taste, and the guy who brought it in also wasn't ready to go any lower. It looks like he is going to have to take it somewhere else. Well, Rick isn't changing his mind about that item. Moving on to the next item. This lady walks into the shop claiming to have a silicone mammary prosthesis. Believe me, I am as confused as you are. It's surprising that someone would want to sell something like that. Oh well, when she puts it like that, it just makes it sound really weird. Well, like she said, she is here to sell her boob. I'm not sure this item is going to make her a lot of money, but we'll leave Corey and his brother to be the judges of that. Sometimes I wonder how Corey knows about these types of things. Believe me, it's really surprising sometimes. What's more hilarious is the fact that this lady wants to sell a silicone implant. Could Corey really be interested in buying this item?
Very special implant because of the 4 sections that you see here that was supposed to help the breast adhere to the woman's tissue.
Okay.
If back in the day, this type of silicone had so many errors, why is she trying to sell it? Now, I am genuinely curious. I wonder how much she thinks she can make from selling this item. I mean, Corey could not have said it any better. It's pretty rare that people, if not anyone at all, would walk into a shop and want to buy a boob implant. And let's be real, $1,000 is too high for this item.
I'll do 500.
Can you do 700? It is rare.
I'll tell you what, I'll go 6. I mean, if you saw it and didn't know what it was, you would have no idea what it was.
Well, she definitely knows how to strike a good bargain. But if you ask me, I'd say Corey did not want to break her heart, and that's why he agreed to buy the item for $600. At least she is not going home with empty pockets.